Hi there and welcome to another video. Now for this one we're going to take a look at Mafia Men. Legends never die. This is a game that came out in 2021 and it was developed by Game Dev. Now I've not heard of this developer before, but have heard of the publisher, which is Handy Games. They were responsible for publishing titles such as the recent remake of the original 1999 Thief and also the 2020 remake of Desperados 3. So this Mafia collection caught my eye because I do like those games. It contains 3 games from the early 2000s Mafia series. These are the same ones that were re-released on PC back in 2020 with some added extras. Those extras include a couple of novellas which are essentially Mafia-themed adventure games. That was a bit of a surprise when I installed the game. The first one I found was Mafia, the City of Lost Heaven. This is the original game that started it all. It was released in 2002 and set in the fictional city of Lost Heaven. It's based around the American city of St. Louis in the 1930s. You play as Tommy Angelo, who becomes entangled in the world of organized crime. Like most Mafia games, this one is story-driven with an emphasis on the cinematic cutscenes. There are plenty of these throughout, and they are all fully voiced. The gameplay consists of driving missions, shooting missions, and some stealth elements. The game does feel dated quite quickly. The character models and textures all look very blocky, and the same can be said about the environments. But aside from the visuals, the game still plays quite well, and the story is pretty decent too. The characters are all interesting, and it kept me hooked enough to want to carry on playing. After finishing the single-player campaign, you can then jump into the multiplayer where you can compete in death matches or capture the flag games. This will test your skills against other players, and you can earn money and experience points along the way. This can then be used to unlock new weapons, characters, and vehicles to use in the single-player campaign. If you want to play through the entire trilogy, including the 2 novellas, then it will probably take you around 30 hours. Next up is Mafia 2. This is definitely the weakest entry in the series, but it's included here nonetheless. It was released in 2010 and is set in the fictional Empire Bay, which is loosely based around the city of Miami. You play as Vito Scaletta, who gets mixed up with the Mafia after he and his friend get into a car accident while trying to desert their jobs. And then, he gets wrapped up in the criminal underworld. This game is more action-focused than the others. There aren't as many stealth missions, and the story isn't as strong either. The voice acting is very poor, especially coming from the protagonist. He sounds disinterested and robotic, and I could unhelp but feel like this game was just trying to cash in on the success of the Grand Theft Auto series. It has the same open-world structure and third-person shooting mechanics, and even the map reminds me of Vice City. Aside from the negatives, there are some positives. Setting is nice to see, and there are a few fun characters that appear throughout the game. So the second half picks up the pace a little and becomes a lot more interesting, although it feels somewhat unnecessary. Multiplayer for this is still available to play, and there is the standalone expansion pack called Betrayal, which adds another story to the game. This takes place from the perspective of one of the characters featured in the main storyline. If you want to complete everything here, it will take you somewhere around 40 hours. Finally, we have Mafia 3. This is definitely the best game in the series. It was released in 2016 and is set in New Orleans during the 1950s and 60s. This is an open-world game where you play as Lincoln Clay, a war veteran who returns home to New Orleans, only to find that his adoptive Mafia family have been wiped out. With the help of a few survivors, Lincoln sets out to take down the Italian Mafia, the Chinese triads, and the local corrupt police force. Once again, the story is excellent and keeps you hooked. Characters are all great, and the writing is top-notch. The gameplay is also fantastic and consists of both third-person shooting and driving missions. The stealth is still present, but it seems to have taken a bit of a back seat this time around. There is a lot more variety here. In fact, I think this is the best-written Mafia game by far. There is also a really cool and brutal takedown system which lets you execute your enemies in creative ways. There are a lot of cool weapons and enemy types too. I especially liked taking down the heavies. There's something very satisfying about ambushing them from above and sending them sprawling to the floor. Just like the last game, there is a standalone expansion pack. This is called Faster Baby, and it is set in a fictional version of 1960s New York. I thought this was great as it offered a change of scenery and gave us another playable character. The main story is completed in around 30 hours, but if you want to complete everything here, including the expansion, then it will take you somewhere around 50 hours. The graphics in all three of these games are decent. Considering they are just remasters of the originals, they all still hold up pretty well, and they run fine on modern hardware. All three games support keyboard and mouse input, but they were originally designed for controller. In my opinion, the first and third games are best played with a gamepad, as the third-person shooting and driving segments are better suited to one. I don't know about you, but I had a hell of a time hitting anything with the mouse. If you are going to use a mouse, I would suggest using the lowest difficulty setting. The second game looks as though it was made for consoles. In fact, it is the only one of the bunch that has a native console release. So if you want to play with a mouse, then you will need to turn the graphics settings down quite a bit. Otherwise, the game will look like it's running in low res. Now, I haven't actually played any of the novellas yet. They are brand new to me. I'm currently working my way through the first one, which is called Days of Vengeance. It's a point-and-click adventure game which sees you playing as a hitman. It's set between the events of Mafia 1 and 2, and I'm enjoying it so far. The story is keeping me interested, and the art style and music is pretty good. I'll probably have finished this one by the time this video goes live, and I might even get the chance to play through the second novella too. This collection costs around £35 here in the UK, and I think that as a fair price considering you get 5 games for that. I'm really glad I decided to pick this up, as I've always wanted to play the first Mafia game. But having the other two, as well as the 2 novellas, is a nice bonus. Plus, I get to support Game iDev and Handy Games too. Now, I've been playing through the original Fallout New Vegas lately, and I'm having a blast. It's a shame that the performance is so bad, but I'm using the unofficial New Vegas patch in F4 SE to try and fix some of the issues. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it down below. Leave a dislike if you didn't. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And hopefully, I'll see all of you in the next one.